you ever wanted a movie where a comedian is a vampire? Yeah, no, me neither. But we have one called Don't Suck. And unfortunately for this movie, it sucked. This movie, I was hoping it'd be like funny bad. Like, you know, I love a bad movie. I love a bad movie that's like so bad it's funny. Like Date Movie, like that was hilarious. Me and my best friend growing up, like love this movie because it's so bad that it's funny. Like it's hilarious. This movie, whoa, it sucked. Yeah, it was bad. Anyway, let's get into the movie. What's it about? This movie stars Matt Rife as Ethan, and I'm not here to dog on Matt Rife. I actually didn't mind him in this movie. Was it great? No. But it wasn't bad. He was actually the decent part of this movie. And we have Pete. I don't actually know the actor's name. I'll put it here. But oh boy, I don't mean to be mean to you, but like, ooh, this was a rough one, dude. I don't know if you've seen your other work, but I hope it was better than this because like this was rough. Okay, so let's get into the story. So we open up to a scene like clearly going to be later in the movie, like a flash forward, you know, we get it. Anyway, in this scene, they're being like held up by gunpoint by a cowboy type guy. I don't know. Anyway, this stuff goes down.
Step aside, Twilight. This is between me and that pendejo. Don't do this. That was a warning. You missed.
It's so funny. Like for some reason, like you know, like the part where they like turn into the vampires, usually like hot. For some reason, this face that got made was like so not funny and not hot. It was so weird. Like the whole thing was just odd. But anyway, this happens and we flash back to like the start of our actual movie, right? A comic club doing their set.
Hello, everybody. I am Ethan Barr, and I am a vampire. For the record, I'm neither Team Edward or Team Jacob. I rooted for the sun.
Clearly, Ethan is just tanking, even though like he's not that bad. Make it seem like Pete is like this really good comedian, like he's funny. Oh boy, no, he's not funny. Even in this, like as him trying to be not funny. Like they needed to at least make this guy funny, not good.
Give it up for Count Dracula, everybody. He was so scary. He scared the laughs away. Hey. When he's here, it's a 2-pint minimum. Yeah. I think he sleeps in a coffin. Because he died up here. I mean...
Anyway, they're in this like kind of like dive bar and Pete is there performing because he kind of ruined his career. He got canceled. He was in a hotel and like checking in and he said like a very rude, snarky joke to like the clerk or whatever and got himself canceled. So
Comedian! Can you tell me a joke?
Can I just have my room key? Sandy.
Now can you tell me a joke?
Want a joke?
Yes.
What's the difference between a vagina and a... You would think she would have a better sense of humor, you know?
now he's, you know, trying to like build his career back up and he's like down and out. His career's not going the way he wanted to. So anyway, he's in this bar and he meets Ethan, and obviously he doesn't think much of Ethan or his comedy, and Ethan thinks a lot of Pete.
Wow, you're Pete Brennan. It's a pleasure. Bro, could you get closer? I could. I'd rather you not. Okay. Jesus Christ. The real reason I came over here was to see if you ever needed an opener or even had any tips for me. I'd be very thankful.
You're looking for a tip?
That would be incredible.
Here's a tip. Try not to talk the headliner's ear off before he's about to take the stage.
Anyway, so there's some weird banter. Like this whole movie is the weirdest, unfunny banter ever. So bad. They meet at this club, and so then Ethan is talking to like the waitress at this bar, I believe, and talking about how they have like a meetup sometime in the week. I don't know what it's for. I actually wasn't paying that much attention, but they have a little meetup they're getting to.
Ethan, great set tonight. I do, however, have some tips on that grinder bit, so we'll talk about it on Sunday, won't we?
Thank you, Steph. I appreciate that.
And Pete is upset because that's actually his girlfriend.
Great set.
What's going on Sunday?
Well, that's actually what I wanted to speak to you about. Sunday evening, I am having a small to-do at my place, and I would love it if you could make it. Give me some tips or something.
Oh my god, dude. What am I, Reddit? You're always asking for tips. I've known you for 8 minutes. Okay, here's a tip. Never try to hit on the comedy club waitress.
Oh, but Steph...
And the comedy club waitress happens to be the headliner's girlfriend.
So then we find out Pete is now being like the headliner for Russell Peters.
Now listen up, my little meal ticket. I have a commitment for you to open up the brand new Russell Peters special, taping at the Sahara. You know, international superstar Russell Peters.
Which I'm like, is this a Canadian movie? Because like Russell Peters is more like Canadian famous, I think, and even still, it's like meh, maybe? I don't know. No hate to Russell Peters, but I don't know. Anyway, so he's gonna be the opener, and he needs an opener for himself, kind of thing, right? So he doesn't know what to do. But his girlfriend gets him to go to this little meetup that they're having at Ethan's house.
I'm going to Ethan's. I want for you to join. But if you don't, guess what? I'm still going.
They go to Ethan's house, and you know, just a lot of other crap dialogue. The only thing that I did find funny was like this little door scene.
Pete, would you mind closing the door, please?
Like that was kind of fun. Like that was like, oh, okay. The rest, like the whole movie is just like the whole scene of them like hanging out in the house is just like needless banter.
Whoa. She's mesmerizing. She was mesmerizing. Where do you come from, dude? Damn. Yeah. You bang her? She was my mother. You bang her? You're bangable.
Not fun, not good. A lot of like stupid innuendo jokes. Not good. And Ethan convinces Pete to have him as his like opening act. And Pete is now going on the road to do some like more dive bars before he goes to open for Russell Peters. So then they go on like this little road trip journey of like going and opening at different like bars.
Welcome to East Bump, Nevada, kid. Zip code EIEIL. Where incest is a gym credit.
Not going well for Ethan, although I think some of his jokes are actually pretty good. Like this one.
I often sympathize with the female reproductive system, as I myself am late for everything. I mean, I once joined a doomsday cult, and by the time I got there, everybody was dead. And worse. Out of Kool-Aid.
Like that, the Kool-Aid thing, like that's hilarious. Like I don't think it was timed great in this thing to make it look like it wasn't funny. But he's definitely way funnier than Pete. Like Pete's jokes are crap.
His opener is to make me look better, and he knocked it out of the park. He killed that shit. Next week, you guys can see me at a truck stop in Laughlin. I'll be playing a parking structure in Reno. I'm Pete Brennan. Good night.
Like, what is this? Like, what was that? Like, they're not funny. They're making it seem like Pete's like this hilarious, like, Dave Chappelle type character. He's not. It's not. Ethan and Pete go to the washroom after conversing with just some locals at the bar. And anyway, Pete finally realizes that Ethan might just be a vampire. They go to this radio station because like they're trying to promote that they're gonna be at this club, and on this like radio show, very like chaotic. Like the hosts are clearly, you know, doing the powder and being chaotic, really not interviewing these people that well. They promote their comedy show, and Ethan promotes it that he's like a vampire. So once they get to this club, a lot of people have shown up to this event because they're like, oh, the vampire guy, we want to see this vampire guy. Anyway, the comedy isn't going great, so then some guy in the crowd heckles Ethan, and Ethan's like, oh yeah, let's turn this magic on, and turns into a bat.
Hey, bite me.
You aren't worthy of my powers.
And suck my dick.
My friend, there isn't enough blood in that tiny thing to keep me alive for an hour.
Say that to his face, you pussy.
Technically, I just did. But okay.
Stuff happens. He's popular, I guess, a bit, and Pete's a little jealous and whatever. It's still confused. He doesn't know what's going on. And you know, some girls come up, and apparently Ethan knows them, and at first I'm like, is this girl a vampire? What's going on? We find out she is a vampire, and he did know, but yeah, confused. And so then they go back out, and Ethan is conversing with these girls again. He's super upset because these girls are hot, and they're not interested in him at all, and he does this weird thing where they ask to take a picture, and he just puts it down his pants. Like, okay. Anyway, they leave, and the two girls go back with Ethan. We find out the girl is a vampire that he knew from before, and they're like, let's mess with Pete. This weird like sex scene / fake sex scene of them like pounding on the walls and making him upset. I don't know, it was weird. It was tiring. I had to take like several breaks watching this movie, and like I still don't think I retained a lot of it because it was just so dull. And whew. Like, I love a shitty movie, like I said. Like, this was just not a funny shitty movie though. But let's keep going. So anyway, they're getting closer to this Russell Peters gig, and you know, Pete is still mentoring Ethan, giving some life lessons and all this stuff, I guess. And then, all right, and now we're back to the opening scene with the cowboy. So they go to another club and they get in a fight with this guy, this cowboy guy, and he's upset and whatever. Anyway, so we saw from the beginning they get in a fight, shooting, whatever. So Ethan bites him and kills him, and then basically like incinerates him. And then Pete after this is like, yes, I want to be a vampire. There's a scene where like Pete is like, turn me, bite me, turn me.
Why not? What do I have to lose? My career's nowhere. I'm broke. I'm on the wrong side of 40. What do I have left?
And then Ethan does that whole like Twilight thing where it's like, you don't want this. You don't want to be immortal like me.
Because nothing changes, Pete. I'm still the same naive boy I was in 16, 13. Yes, I've adapted to my surroundings, sure, because I've had to. But I haven't changed. You'll only lose yourself in an infinite loop while you watch everyone around you die.
And he says this spiel, and you're like, okay, cool, yeah. And then like the rebuttal from Pete like doesn't make sense. So he's like saying like, yeah, like, you don't understand loss, man. Like, I lost my kid. But it's like, that's kind of what Ethan was saying. Like, you're just gonna watch everyone die. Like, you're not making the argument you think you are. But it seems like Ethan's like, yeah, good point. Even though he kind of just gave his point back to, I don't know what's happening in this movie. It's insane. Anyway, apparently this was like a big emotional pivotal moment. I guess. I don't know. Anyway, flash to the big event with the Russell Peters. This whole thing was like so fast and quick. I'm like, is this the climax of the movie? Like, what's happening? I don't even know. It goes poorly, I guess. Like, I don't know. Russell Peters not happy with the opener, like the vampire guy who's like, this guy, what a loser, why'd you bring him? And
Any last minute advice?
Yes! Oh my gosh, it's very important. Don't suck.
He said it! He said it!
I don't know, and then we barely see any comedy, and then Russell Peters' jokes kind of suck too, so you're like, he's the big lead? Here's like, what's happening? Anyway, so that happens, and Pete and Ethan are like driving in the car after the show. They're kind of like bummed out and like, honestly, I stopped caring at this point. I stopped caring like 15 minutes in, but really this was hard. Like, I had stopped watching like Righteous Gemstones to come back and watch this, and whew, the last 15 minutes, I was just counting down the minutes. Anyway, they're in the car and they're talking some stuff that I didn't really care to pay attention to. And then all of a sudden they're in an accident. And I'm like, wait a second, hold on. First of all, they're in a head-on collision. I'm pretty sure they're on a divided highway. Like, where did this car come from? But anyway, car accident happens. Pete is thrown out of the car and is like injured, I guess. It doesn't really look like he is, but it's like, oh no, it's the worst injury ever. And he's like, is it bad? Am I gonna die? And like, Ethan's like, no, I've seen worse. And he's like, but bite me though, change me. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna do it, no. And then we like flash forward to like a scene where like now Ethan is like at a hotel and he's checking in, and like the clerk is like, haha, you're the comedian of like the night, like tell me a joke, like similar to like what Pete did. And he's like, well, what's the difference between a vagina and he gets himself in trouble. The same way that Pete did. I don't get it. And then all of a sudden we flash to like Pete, and he's like almost like teaching a course in comedy, or like being like, I don't know, a guest teacher. And this girl's like, so like what exactly is the thing that you do on stage as a comedian, like to be good? And he's like, did you really ask me that? Walks up to her and he's like, don't suck. And then his eyes glow and you're like, so he's a vampire now? Like, what the fuck is this movie? So I little too mad. But yeah, I'm probably missing a lot of details because they were so insignificant and bad that I just didn't care to retain them. Like, even as I'm watching them, like, I can tell I'm not retaining any of this information because this dialogue just is useless and boring and stupid. So you're probably asking why I watch it. I was like, oh, this is probably gonna be like hilarious. Like, this is gonna be like a bad, like, funny movie. It's gonna be a good time. And no, it was rough. It was rough. But if you want to check it out, just to, you know, like, get drunk and like dog on it, I'd say go ahead and do that. All right, thanks for joining me, guys. Bye.